Association and all of our coaches. I'd like to give a special thank you to the NBA for providing us with this really unique platform. Special thank you to Commissioner Silver, Mark Tatum, Mike Bass, Byron Spruell, Michael Levine, Tim Frank, Paul Benedict, Dan Rube, so many others, and just a big thank you, not just for this platform, but for everything we work on throughout the year. We are especially proud of the Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award, which honors the memory of Hall of Famer Chuck Daly, who over an outstanding career set the standard for integrity, competitive excellence, and tireless promotion of NBA basketball. Chuck was an incredible mentor to so many coaches and players in our league, including Coach Carlisle and our winner tonight, Coach Nelson. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to NBCA President, Coach Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, thanks, David. First, we want to thank our committee. Our selection committee has been in place since 2009. Lenny Wilkins, Donnie Walsh, Pat Riley, Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson, Joe Dumars, Billy Cunningham, and Bernie Bickerstaff. Our past winners. First winner was Tom Heinsohn. Then next winner, Jack Ramsey, Lenny Wilkins, Pat Riley, Bill Fitch, Bernie Bickerstaff, Dick Motta, Jerry Sloan, Casey Jones, Hubie Brown, Al Adels, Doug Moe, Frank Layden, Del Harris, Larry Brown, Mike Fratello, Rick Adelman, and then last year was Rudy Tomjanovich. This is a crescendo year having this guy here. This is the most packed we've ever had a press conference in anticipation of this, so thanks to everyone for being here. Don Nelson changed the game. I'll read off his accomplishments. 31 years, 1,335 victories, second all-time. He was the all-time leader for many years until one of his coaching tree, Greg Popovich, finally passed him a year or two ago. Three-time Coach of the Year, gold medal winner in the FIBA World Championships in '94, multiple 60-win seasons, multiple All-Star game appearances as the head coach, five-time champion as an NBA player, highlighted by the shot in 1969. It hit the back of the rim, bounced straight up in the air, and came down. And when the Halliburton shot happened in the New York series, it reminded me of that moment right away. So that was pretty cool. And an All-American at Iowa. Coaching tree, two guys that really come to mind. Greg Popovich, who I mentioned, Del Harris, who was a winner of this award a couple of years ago. And one thing about Nelly, I came into this profession in the early 2000s, and Nelly was certainly in his prime for many decades. But when you played Nelly's teams, there was always apprehension. You're always wondering, am I going to be able to play my big guys? Am I going to? What am I going to do about these guys running around and just shooting threes from everywhere and making them? And so he changed the game, and he always lobbied for the game to be what it was today. No illegal defense, facilitate more ball movement, be able to play any defense. It would make the game better. It would make the players become guys that were higher basketball IQ players that would learn how to play the game, and make plays rather than just have coaches call plays. And a lot of us were very nervous about that. But this was a guy that had amazing foresight, and he absolutely changed the game and was a big influence around the game we have today. And I'll mention one other record that I think will never be broken. Nelly has the record for the most ejections in coaching history. And I was looking this up on the internet, and there's some different numbers that are thrown around. So I'll take the highest one that I saw, 79, which is a record that I'm particularly in awe of. So with no further ado, I'd be honored to present the 2025 Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award to the great Don Nelson.
Okay.
It's all yours, Nelly.
A little harder to get up than it used to be. Well, thank you. I just would like to say that what a great honor it is to have this Chuck Daly Award. I knew Chuck before we had our private planes. We were going commercial. Teams would always come in. You had to stay over, take first flight out the next day. And Chuck always, after the game, win or lose, we'd always go out to Victor's Bar and Grill after the game, sit and talk story, talk about the game, talk about the game of basketball, the game we had just played. And that's the kind of guy he was. And so I'm so proud to be one of the many who have already received this award. Greg Popovich called me right after Rick did, and I hadn't talked to him since he's had his stroke for a month or two. So I was happy to get his call, and I said, Pop, I said, I got the Chuck Daly Award. He said, I know, I'm on the board. So I figured that's the reason I got it, or at least one of them. He's my dear friend and one of my best friends in my life. So I'm really, really proud to be here and to share this award. I made the Hall of Fame in 2012, and this is certainly as important to me as that award was. I don't know exactly what else to say. I'd be glad to take questions if you have any.
First question on the right, Jeff in the second row.
Jeff's going to be at USA Today. Rick just mentioned your influence on the game, and I want to know what shaped your offensive philosophy? What made you see the game the way you did and want to see it played that way?
Well, when I played with the Celtics, and I played for Red Auerbach for 1 year, and then Tommy Heinsohn and Bill Russell after that, we always played a game, bigs against smalls. And in the full court game, bigs never won. Smalls always won. Now you play a half court game, bigs always won. But you get them in a full court, they can't dribble, they can't pass, make plays. So the small teams always won. So I always thought in the full court game, if you made a fast game, not a slow game, you could beat the bigger teams. I also figured out that there are hundreds of small guards who can just shoot the shit out of the ball. They not necessarily can be point guards, they maybe can't make plays, but they can all shoot. And if I had a forward that was an average shooter, like a Paul Pressey, and I ran my offense through him, I could run picks for these small guards, get them open in the corner pretty easy because they're all quick, and they could all shoot. And I think that helped me beat a lot of bigger teams that I was playing against. I was never blessed with having talented big people. I finally got Bob Lanier for a couple years at the end of his career. That was the most talented big man I'd ever coached, and still is today. But I only had him for a few years, so I had to figure out ways to stay competitive with smaller teams. Because the hardest guy to find is a big man in the league. The easiest guy to find is a small guy who can shoot. So that was part of my philosophy, those two things.